Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are in the middle of November, with only 47 days left in 2019. I know we're all in the middle of personal holiday preparations with our calendars stacked up with appointments and family events, and we can't help you get control of that personal calendar during the last few weeks of the year, but today Chuck will share how you can get some control of the holiday dates in your student manager system and give you some tips to clear out the clutter in your database before the new year. These are things you can control, and that's nice this time of year. You can communicate with us today in the chat box. Let us know how the pace of the session is going for you, and if you need something repeated or have a question along the way, drop me a note and I'll share with Chuck. As a reminder, before I turn things over to you, Chuck, there is a handout today that you can access in the control panel. And if that isn't convenient for you, just drop me an email and I'll be sure you get that handout later. So, Chuck, that's all the small talk I have. I'm going to turn things over to you.
Very good. Well, I hope most of you had a good fire going this week. It sounds like the cold snap that hit us went all the way across the country. It is warming up today, and hopefully your spirits are brighter as well as we look forward to moving forward. So one of the things we want to review today is, again, looking over the holiday tool within Manager that helps you avoid booking classes on your holidays. And so, again, we'll be talking about that at the beginning. And at the end, kind of maybe a little bit faded in that last list, but not as anywhere indicating its lack of importance, is other cleanup recommendations. And so that will be at the tail end here on basically, again, doing system cleanup, system maintenance, which again, is part of the holidays. We got to clear the decks in order to be ready for what happens next. And that's a task everybody ought to be dealing with. So holiday dates, and we're talking about within Student Manager. Let me bring it up here so that we are together. Inside your Student Manager system under Module Holidays is where this holiday tool is. And the point of that is that it allows you to specify for your buildings, for your school, college, what are the dates that you will not be holding classes on. And as you then build your classes for the term, Student Manager will skip those dates when calculating what are the class dates. So again, as we said, how do you do this? Well, one of the things to do, and this is a brand new feature as of 79, is a new tool to generate. Well, actually, the Generate Federal Holidays tool has been around for a while, and it allows you to say, what year do you want to generate the holidays for? What is new is that if you have already done that, or someone else in the office has, and you click it again, it won't double up the holidays. Well, so that just kind of saves you some cleanup issues. Creating unique holidays for your program. You're able to do that. Go into the system holidays, add new holiday, and you can put in your note. And you'll note that we have a special holiday here, and hopefully it's on yours as well. It's the ACEware Users Conference this spring in June in Savannah. So again, we don't have to put our location because we are all leaving Kansas and headed to Savannah for that particular time. The big event closing a particular room in your inventory, or maybe there is a problem with maintenance, maybe it has to do with construction. If you know the auditorium is going to be sound system put in and all tore up for the fall schedule, you could put in a range of dates for the time period, or a single day range of dates that room will not be available. And so again, it would only affect that schedule for a given room. So again, that is, I think, is a handy feature. If you have already started booking activities and you discover that maintenance says we have to shut down room 405 tomorrow for a week, you can go into the schedule holidays and put in the dates that you're going to be having to shut the room down, and then you can check class dates to see what courses are already booked on that date, and that's kind of a nice feature. Or I guess if you were booking classes and you wanted to know, well, what other classes might be in this room because I want to pull rank and I want to have my class in the lab because it's more important than anything else. You can go in and look at a particular class time and check to see what other classes are meeting during that time. I got a nice tool. Did we schedule that day? Again, this is what happens when you can find a holiday. You can go in and type in a particular date to see if that's been scheduled. So searching for dates when you're looking up holidays. If you're into the holiday lookup, you can search for an actual day. And again, it's just like searching for begin date in the course lookup. You type in the month, the slash, and the day, just like you do as you see it on the descriptor there. So, all right. And again, questions, certainly shout them out to Sharon, and she'd be happy to jump in here with me. Clearing out your old holidays. Again, technically old holidays don't affect anything because they're only reviewed when you're scheduling, but honestly, I don't see any point that you'd want to keep the fact of what day of the week Christmas fell on 5 years ago. So I would suggest that you do clear out your old holidays for all of the dates that fell before anytime you're going to be booking activities. And actually it would be, I guess, today, because going forward from today is the only time you're really worried about overbooking. If you put in a location that you held a class last week, obviously you held the class then, so it doesn't make any difference if it shows up on the booking or not. So the clearing out holidays would be a good idea. All right, so we've ripped through the holidays in 10 minutes or less. Any questions on that? And people doing all right, Sharon?
People are doing all right, Chuck.
So far, doing good. All right, now we're rolling into the area that, again, falls into more of the annual cleanup or, and again, I know you're busy trying to crank spring courses out, but again, if there is a break in between turkey and Christmas plums and Christmas candy, here are some things that I would certainly encourage you to take a look at. Your duplicate names, cleaning up duplicate firms, and that's one that generally might take a little bit more time. Merging and purging old room use records and old wait lists, and then deactivating and archiving courses if applicable. So, well, deactivating for sure, archiving if applicable. So let's kind of work through those. So, cleaning up duplicate names. Obviously, you can do it one by one with the good twin, evil twin approach. I was going to have Sharon, I can't see, but raise your hand, folks, if you have ever done a name combine with the good twin, evil twin, name ID, copy, paste. Raise your hand if you have done that.
Yeah.
And
Looking good. Looks like you have a few that have done that. Cheryl.
Okay, so, and again, the theory on this is that if you've got two Sharon Brookshires here, and you say, well, this is one, the spelling is correct, this is one, the spelling is incorrect, what you would do is copy the ID from the good twin, go to the bad twin, paste in the ID, and it will then walk you through a series of steps on how to combine those records. And again, there is help in the help guide about that. The other one, and we're going to hit on, focus on, is the mass tool, which is under Tools, Data Cleanup, Combine Names. This is the one that allows you to do mass updates, mass checks of your duplicate names. And one of the new features of this is that skip duplicate names tool. And we're going to talk about how that works for you. So basically, let's go over to the demo and let's run it. So we're going to go to Tools, Data. And I'm going to ask this, drop the hand, Sharon. How many of you have ever gone into the Combine Names tool in the last year and done a name combine check review? We're putting pressure on you here.
Oh, you've got a handful, Chuck.
Really? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of review that for those who might be watching this webinar later, you've got several options on how you do that. One of the new ones that was added is cell phone. Since cell phone a lot of times now is almost as unique an identifier as we can get kind of publicly from people. So that is available for you to use for matches. Typically, though, the portion approach, portion of the first name, full last name, address, and zip. So if you run that and we do the preview combine, we'll leave the skip names marked on for right now. One of the things to note is that it is possible to have a custom condition here. For instance, if you say, well, I only want to do names that don't have a firm. And so we could say something like empty firm, NM firm. And what that would do is only look at names that don't have a firm when you're doing the combine tool. I'm struggling perhaps for maybe a particular source code. If you have a particular source code that you imported a batch of names, nm source equal bad batch, and you wanted to say, I've got a group of names that I know I imported duplicates on because it was from a third-party list and they weren't doing a good job of maintaining it, you could just focus on that particular group of names. All right, we're going to do all of my little demo set, do preview combine, having made a backup. And of course, before you do this for real, you should always make a backup, especially if you're doing SQL, because SQL, when you delete a name, it is gone. It's not just marked for deletion. First name length, and this is something, again, you can choose what you want. The default is 4, and this is that when you're looking at first names, how many letters of the first name you want to match on. So like Chuck or Charles, CH, 2 letters would give us Charles and Chuck. 4 letters would take you into CHAR. So perhaps, again, you'll have more potential. The smaller the letters the fewer the number of characters you choose, obviously the greater chance you have of catching a false dupe, but also of finding people with misspellings or variations of spellings on the first name. We're going to leave it at 4 for now. So here's our list. We got Lisa Avery. Yep, that's a dupe. Sharon Brookshire. Yeah, we had different spellings of the last name. 2 different emails, but at the same address. Yeah, we're going to guess they're the same person. Havlicek Chuckles, Havlicek Chuck, same person. Here's one. Smith Joseph Jr., Smith Joseph. Now, here is the case where we have a false pair of duplicates. Well, how do you deal with that? Well, what you do is use the little uncheck box over here to deselect one of the pair so that we don't end up with them being duplicated. Now, you don't have to select both of these. As long as you select just one of them, it will take that pair out of the match. All right, so I'm ready to do this. So we're going to say done, and it says it combined 3 duplicates. Okay, so what happened to the other one? And here's the note. You deselected one name. You want to mark to skip these the next time. Well, yeah, I don't have to remember to look out for Joe and Joe Jr. every time. I mark that. Well, what happens on that? Well, when I go to Joe, was it Joseph? Joe S-E, that's why I was getting. Okay. When I go to Joe Joseph Smith Jr. now. And into the demographics, let's find the Joseph Smith Sr. here. There is a mark on the name that's called ignore this name in mass combined names. And what that allows you to do is that next time we run the duplicate names report, we're going to do tools, data cleanup, combine names. We're going to say skip names that have a no dupe, preview combine. Have you made a backup? Yes, 4 digits. Bada boom. Now, even though we know there's a Joe and a Joe Jr., because we marked one of them to be skipped in the dupe process, it took that name out of the checking routine. So that the point is, once you go through this one time and you uncheck the false duplicates, or one of the pair of a false duplicate, you don't have to worry about that pair anymore, about accidentally getting them combined. One of the notes about this is that, and I got Charles here, what are the other circumstances on that? Well, certainly one is father, son, where there is the Joseph Sr., Joseph Jr., Joseph III. The other are husband and wife who have the same last name, and their first names are similar. So Charles and Charlene, Robert and Roberta. And again, those names, if you use a 4-digit first name match, will end up showing up the first time through as duplicates. But by doing the ignore this name, and you can manually type this. If you're typing in Charles Havlicek and Charlene Havlicek, and you say, wait a minute, I know if I run the mass dupes, they're going to show up in the list, and if I forget, I might combine them. Go ahead and mark ignore one of those names right as you enter them. So that, again, is not a bad behavior to do if you've got staff members who are doing the data entry. I'm going to questions about that, everybody. That's a tool that really is a powerful way for you to help clean things up. You just got to use it, and the first time to go through, look for false dupes before you let her rip and let the chainsaw do its thing. Sharon, we're good?
I think they're all with you.
All right. All right, so cleaning up the duplicate names. Firm records. Well, there's a couple of different things about firm records. Number one, broken links. And this is a case when the firm record for a name is deleted and the name update ID is not updated. Now, again, the note is this should be rare, as there are some built-in safeguards in Manager to prevent this. But if you've never done a broken firm link test, or you have got a database that's been around a while, this could be a possibility. And we've got a tool to do that. The other thing this tool does is looks for missing links, the missing link here. And so the idea is that what you've got are name records with a firm that don't have a firm link in the firm table for it. And where does that happen? It's on ACEware, because when you allow firm as a field on your ACEware screen, which is perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable, the firm names are stored on the name record, but there isn't a firm link that it's matched up to in the firm table. And again, it'll function just fine, except that if you wanted to do firm analysis of how many people from given firms are attending your classes, you're going to miss those because the name is not really attached or connected to the firm. So this Fix Broken Link tool will attempt to match those up with firm names already in use. So cleaning up firm records to fix the broken firm links, and you'd want to do that first. Tools, data cleanup, click OK on the firm link. And we're going to go into the live system on that right now. And I'm going to go ahead and Go to tools, database. Well, let's show you some firms here that are duplicates. So we've got ACEware. So there's ACEware. There's ACEware Systems No Inc. There's ACEware Systems Inc. with a period. This is Inc. without a period. So some of you probably have way more convoluted than that, but different ways that a staff member or a student can type in a particular firm name. So we go data cleanup, broken firm links. We're now going to add the word broken/missing firm links in there on the next bill just for clarity. So we're going to do broken firm links. It tells you what it's going to do. And again, it recommended make a backup before you do this. You hit the OK button, and it says, okay, here are names of people who the firm name they would have typed in from the web matches a firm name that is already in the system. But that didn't happen automatically. They just typed in the name and managed to get the spelling right. So we're going to go ahead and hit escape, which is what you do to continue here. And now it says we found good firm links. However, there are 3 records with an unmatched firm name. And this is where, again, somebody on the web registered, they put in their firm name as Yabba Dabba Doo, and it's never been in the system before. Or they typed in Yabba Dooba Dabba because they misspelled the firm name. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to make a firm, and we're not going to use the firm address because we don't know if that student did a firm address or not. And again, it depends on kind of your clientele, whether you want to use a firm, make a firm out of this name and address that has a firm associated with it. That is probably the firm, or you want to just have the firm name linked in the firm table so that you have that relation between them. We're going to do make a firm. So I'm going to hit OK, created 3 new firms, and now we're in the system. And so we now have all of the firms have been connected. If we did that a second time, it shouldn't find any. Bada boom, congrats, no broken firm links. Good. Now what? Well, let's look at the next step, which would be combining firm records or cleaning up duplicate firm records. So again, tools, data cleanup, firms, click refresh. You can select keywords, combine, select all the records you want. And again, the note is the last firm record clicked will be the replace line. All right, so what's that look like? Tools, data cleanup, firms cleanup. All right, so this is the empty template. We're going to hit refresh and bring them all up. Now we can see all of these right now. ACEware, ACEware Systems, ACEware Systems. And he said, well, let's pretend that those were down in the lower and we didn't see these. So we're going to look for the keyword ACEware, and we're going to refresh. Okay, there's 2. Well, let's, we know we saw more as we were playing. Let's just change this to ACE. We got 2 there. So now you'll note this does have a couple of advanced features. Number 1, you can either use or if you said it has to be ACE and it has to have the word where, although interestingly enough, or that it has to have the word systems in it. I was going to use the word where, but ACE Hardware would show up on that. So we're going to say they must have both of these fields in order to match. And here we have now, we've thinned that down. Or we could use an or condition, and that gives us ACE or systems, which includes the ACE Hardware again. All right, so now I've got, okay, I see 4 duplicate records. We need to decide which one is going to be the keeper. And we're kind of looking in here, and you could look over here. This is the total number of records of names per firm, and I see the winner is the World Headquarters one. So what we're going to do is we're going to control click on all of those, and the last one is going to be the record that shows up down at the bottom, and that'll be the mother record that will suck up, or it's the Death Star that will suck up all of these other names into its record when you combine them. So this is the last one. This is the address or the firm record that will suck in all these other three. We're going to replace those. Bada boom, it's updating name records, updating instructor records, it's looking at Pocket Ledger, and it's looking at contracts. And so now we're done with that. We can go in, look up firms, modules, firms, find, and there is only one ACEware Systems. We bring it up and we look at employees, and there are 10 of them. And before it was, it was only 7 with the mother, and there were 3 others scattered around. So this combined all of those firms together into one. So if you're doing statistics, you're matching up people to the company, you're able to have a more accurate representation of which people are with which firms. Whew. Sharon, questions? How we doing?
You're doing good.
All righty. Well, we're rocking and rolling. Cleaning up firm records. Purging waitlist and room use records. Okay, so why would you need to do that? Well, the big thing on that is really increasing speed, especially when you're creating courses. Room use records, unless you've got an odd case where you need to do statistics to give to campus for how many rooms were used by CE classes in the past year, I would certainly suggest cleaning all room use records for the previous terms classes, kind of like you do with activate and deactivating, which we'll talk about in a bit. On wait lists, that's a little different story, and depending on your situation, if you do have a lot of wait lists, and once you have already made an attempt to try to get them to roll into the next session of that course that they were on a wait list for, which presumably indicates that they would sure like to take the course on how to create growing cannabis in your garage here, before you purge those wait lists. So again, if you think you're going to still use those wait lists for marketing, leave them around. If you've kind of given it a couple of shots and you really don't see any more action coming from that, maybe it's a couple of 3 years old. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd keep those in my waitlist system. If anybody has any thoughts on that, again, send them on to share them on that. How do you do that? It is through this mass change, update, delete, archive tool. This is, again, kind of the Swiss Army knife of course information in terms of cleaning things up. So in terms of purging wait lists, you'd go in, you'd select delete room use or purge wait lists or both, whatever you want to do. Pick the criteria that you want to use down here in the criteria section, and then hit the preview button, which allows you to see what those courses are before you do that. Hit the done on the preview and hit OK at this tool, and you are cleaning them up. So how do we do that in the real world? So we're going to go into Module, Courses, Mass Change Update. Let's say that I want to purge wait lists for all classes where the begin date is between 01/01/18 and 12/31/19. And we'll get rid of room use records later. Now I want to see which ones those are. We're going to hit the preview button. These are all the courses that fall in that range, and if they have a wait list, may or may not have a wait list, but it would go through and get rid of waitlist names or registrations in this group of classes. So we hit done, we hit the OK button, and it says we deleted 14 waitlisted registrations. So again, you got the basic idea of that. One note, and we're going to circle back to this on deactivating, but one of the new features in this system now is that they won't be removed unless you pack. Okay, we got that. Unless you're SQL, in which case they're gone right away. So one of the things that room use records wouldn't occur for online classes, but if you're doing deactivation deactivation or archiving, one of the things to note is that if you use begin date or end date range, and it's an online class where you would not have put in a beginning or ending date, then you're going to need to run your delete room use or delete archive or move archive or deactivate based on course number begins with. And one of the new things about course number begins with is that you can do comma separated values of the course number begins. So 17, 18 would purge room use records for all courses that begin with 17 or 18. It's like either or course in a list. So we hit the OK button, 861 room use records were cleaned up. Now again, the course is still there. It's just that if we go to 18 and we go to room use, there is no room use record left on that class. All right, questions on that? Purging waitlist or room use. Anybody got issues about dealing with waitlisted people for?
It doesn't look like it.
Promotions.
Looks like
okay. Moving along, we're going to make this a record one. All right, let's go to the multiple years. That's what I was trying to highlight. We mentioned that. Okay, deactivating courses. Some of you have heard me soapbox this again and again and again. You really, really, really ought to deactivate courses after registration has passed, and typically, definitely after you're into the new semester. If the course is not going to be open for enrollment in the semester you're in. So what's the benefit of that? Speedier lookups when you're adding registrations. Now, it's not going to affect general reporting. That's archive, but it will help when you're adding people into classes. Again, so that's the one. Now, there is a mass deactivate from the tool set, just like we were doing purging room use. You set the active status to inactive. You're going to put the criteria, say range of dates. And again, you can preview those to make sure there isn't a course in that term that is going the next. Oh, I forgot about the year-long class on yada yada. You can uncheck it from the list and continue. So, archiving. So the idea is that when you're looking up active courses, in this case, I'm looking up active courses. Now the question is, am I going to enroll anybody in a 2018 class? No. So what I need to do is deactivate those courses, deactivate, change it to inactive for all of the 18 classes. I'm not going to bother with preview because I know that's what I want. So now when I look up courses, I'm only looking at my current terms courses. So obviously, if this is April the 1st and I'm ready for spring classes and I'm done with the, or it's January and I'm looking for the winter classes and I'm done with fall, I would go in and deactivate just the fall classes. So it'd be 19F and OK. And I have deactivated all of the 19F classes on here. Now, I don't have any of my winter classes in this particular demo. And that's because I haven't activated them yet, I believe, because of the way we have our demo. But the point is, that is how you go in, mass activate, deactivate classes. Okay. Now we're ready to go to archive. Sharon, drop the hands. How many of you have done any archiving of your database? Any hands? Few?
Not a single hand, Chuck.
Not a single hand. Again, why would you need to archive? Really, the only reason you need to archive is that you have speed issues. If you don't have speed issues, in other words, looking up records, running reports, they zip along just fine, don't worry about it. However, we've got customers with 250,000 registrations. That'll slow you down a little bit, especially if they date back multiple years and you really are mainly only looking at the last 3 to 4 years for historical data. So in that case, doing archiving is a good idea. So at this point, I'm going to kind of show you how you do it. Number one, you use that same mass change update tool. You go over to the archive element, indicate again what courses you want to run. Say I had 3 years, 5 years of courses, 4 years of courses still on, and I want to get rid of, not get rid of. Now, note, I'm not getting rid of, I am moving these courses into, in essence, a backup file. Again, if you've got a particular course, maybe you have a membership year course back in 2016 that you want to keep for reference purposes, you can go in and do the preview, uncheck the course that you don't want to do, and then do OK to continue. Now, one note is after you do an archive, you should go ahead and run a reindex routine to reindex all tables, because otherwise I think it'll throw a index error the first time if you forget to do that. Okay, so let's go real quickly. We got the time. So right now I have courses going back to 2018 fall, all right? Let's say I only wanted to archive those 2018 fall courses. So I want to archive classes that are 18F. Now, when you have to tab out when you put in your criteria to get the preview button. So I put in the preview. Here are all my classes. Yeah, da 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 da. We got this. We got that. All of the stuff in here, and I'm just trying to pick one here. Let's say beginning yoga. That's one I really want to know. There's a reason I want to have that class kept in the system. So I uncheck it so it will not be archived. Hit the OK button, and it will go ahead and move those courses over into a separate set of files. It will keep them available. So if I wanted to go back and look at them, I could. So the question is, but I still want access to those archive courses. Not a problem. At any point, you can go into Preferences, click Switch to Archive, an OK close, and you'll see an Archive Live show up on your menu, which indicates to you that you are now running in the old file folders, those records that you archived. And when you're finished viewing the archive data, you go back to Archive, uncheck the switch to Archive, and this goes away, and you know you're back to live data. Now, here's another question. But I still want all the course information for students, for like student transcripts. Again, no problem. Whether or not you archive data or not, you will always be able to, from the name record, to show all courses taken, to get courses taught for instructors, and for transcripts and certificates. Student Manager will go back into the archives and include any of those records. So if we want to show you that, so right now, this is the list of all records. There are no fall classes in here. So I say, well, I want to go back and look at that fall class. I go switch to Archive. And now when I go, what did I not do? I didn't reindex. So let's get that done. Tools, admin. See, I showed you what you do if you don't reindex. Yes, we're going to do that. Select all, and we're running our deal. And I should close this system. We need to probably put a note in there that we need to close. Let's see if we can get that to run again. We're looking up the course. There we go. So now those are the fall classes. They're in archive. I can go in and look at them. I can look at the quick reports. I could look at the student list. so that you're able to go back to that archive system whenever you want to. So let's go ahead and switch then to unswitch to archive. So now let's look up Havlicek because we know he's got a buttload of classes here. And if I look at classes taken, it is showing an 18 fall class, 18F student manager in my history of classes taken. It's just that when you go in to edit registrations, that fall class is not in the edit. So it's not live, but the little tool set that we've got for basic history will go back and look that up for you. So again, we try to cover that issue for you. What if you ever wanted the old data back? I said, I really want to do now a statistical analysis that includes a long span of registrations. Well, what you do is just reverse the process. You can go into this tool, do unarchive, and bring back those courses into the live system whenever you want. All right, well, that kind of wraps up what we wanted to cover today. You want more than 4 cleanup tools? Well, there you go. Use that. Take a look at the handout that Sharon has provided you. There is a webinar in our webinar archives. So it allows you to go in and search for, that would be in, I think, the Keeper of the Flame. And it talks about how to do cleanup, data cleanup, pocket ledger, supplemental, you know, a lot of tools in here, maintenance for practice, so that you've got resources that you can use to clean up that system, keep it running in tip-top shape. And lastly, but not leastly, sign up for the conference. Sharon, when's the registration start? Like,
registration's going to open after Thanksgiving, and I am having a great time booking some customer presentations that folks are going to be really excited about. It's going to be a great event.
Very good. And if you're out there and you think you'd like to share or be willing to share a tip or trick or a session on how you're using ACEware to serve customers, still time to shoot a note to Sharon and let her know. She'll send you the proposal form. So
yes, and if they have some topics they would really like to see covered,
right? If you
send those my way too.
I'd love to go to Savannah, and what I want to know in Savannah is X, Y, and Z. Again, send X, Y, and Z to Sharon, and we will see if we can add that to the schedule. Next month, right in time for your Christmas, we talk about packages under the tree. Well, let's take a look at your ACEware package configuration to make sure it has all the goodies in you need. So we'll be talking about that next December, which is coming right up. So, Sharon, last chance for questions. Been a quiet group out there.
I am not seeing questions, but they don't want to miss this webinar because I know a lot of people, if they haven't already started their fiscal year 21 budgets, they will be doing that the first quarter of 2020. Right. So this would be a good time to see what you might want to put in that budget.
Sounds good. All right. Well, Sharon, thanks again for a great slide deck. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy that nice weather out there, hopefully today, and have a great weekend. We'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.